Hello everyone and welcome to DevSpresso. This is JS News episode 3. This week with me is Olek. Hey Olek.
Hello, Julek.
Nice to see you after such a long time. So this week we'll be discussing obviously news of the recent week, and from what I've seen we got updates in Svelte. We got something from GitHub. We're gonna have to say something about GitHub if GitHub is writing something on the blog. And what more there? Do you have any big topics, Olek?
I think that quite big is Vue 3.3 and it's
Mhm.
released. And in
Yeah, I see
addition,
it.
I have a couple of words about the Firefox 113 and
Great.
maybe a
Uh-huh.
mentioning of Meta backing the OpenJS Foundation.
Right, great. Yeah, it seems that this week was okay with news, and we're gonna wrap it up pretty quickly. All right, let's roll in the intro.
DevSpresso.
All right, so this week updates let's start with Firefox, all right? What
Of course,
happened there?
Firefox on 9th of May was released,
Mhm.
113 version. And we have a couple of small changes, like some additional options in address bar in main Firefox. You are able to search terms and refine them while viewing your results. You have
Mhm.
some new menu added. So
Okay.
especially cool thing, add it's another result menu been
Uh-huh.
added, and it's easier to remove history results and dismiss sponsored Firefox suggestion entries.
Okay.
So,
Mhm.
such an option. One of the cool features is additional option in debugger. It is now possible to override
Mhm.
a JavaScript file in the debugger. You just add
Okay.
script
Oh.
override context menu and go further. So this may be quite helpful in development. Couple of changes on security side. Private window has better support for blocking third-party cookies and storage of
Mhm.
content trackers, which is always
And
good.
that's important. Yeah.
That is always helpful. Um,
Mhm.
Further, some changes in automatically generated passwords in Firefox. Of course, again, security reasons, it should be better. And
Yep, nice.
additional, the window GPU sandbox has been tightened to enhance the security benefits it provides. So,
The what? Okay. Uh-huh.
window GPU, as far as I read, it's mainly with those magical constructions with the 3D renderings and JS using the web
Mhm.
browser and presenting bigger
Okay.
models of 3D constructions. It's extremely demanding, and there is a area to
Yes, yes.
interact with that, right?
Yeah.
Further,
WebGPL, right?
yep. Further,
Mhm.
there is a couple of changes in accessibility, redesign accessibility engine, and of course, it's faster, it's more stable. It it works better with East Asian input methods. It works better with enterprise single sign-on software. So another changes
Right.
there. Couple of changes in CSS area. It was included improved support for the color level 4 specification, which gives
Yes.
you properties as lab, LH, OK lab, OK
Mhm.
LH, and color
Mhm.
functions. There is additional flag property, forced color adjust, which allows author to opt an
Okay.
element out of color change in forced colored mode. So really, really cool stuff.
I'm gonna be talking more today even about what's new in CSS, and there's a great like blog post on Chrome developers that I'm gonna say. But these updates, I really love this kind of updates in CSS, like when they're already implementing like level 4 specification features, because this is something like actually we could already utilize. We could already use that. The most important part is you need to know about it because your preprocessors already probably or polyfills already probably allow you to use that. So it's like I really like this update. This looks like a lot of things was added.
couple of things were added. And another thing, there is, as they called it, enchanted picture-in-picture additional and better working, which gives you more options like rewind, check video duration, and switch to full mode. As you know, sometimes this picture-in-picture, you see commercials mainly going after you in the web, right? That they are popping up from the main top window and going further with the page.
Yes,
But
yes,
you
yes.
have general option to manage videos from the sides and pop them out from the main web page and have them in some different place or still scrolling on other sites. So it's not only commercials, right? And if you look further in this area, in Google in February, on 10th February in their post, they wrote that they are trying to even add more features in this area to allow display almost every web content in floating window, to have it at the top of the window. So the work in these constructions of floating windows and just popping out some constructions, and those things are done by web browser, right? They are not done by the code part of our solution from the web page. So it's quite cool that those functionalities are moving further and giving additional options. And one of pleasant things also in this post was that it, after 13 years, old future request was fulfilled, and Firefox now supports files being drag and drop directly from Microsoft Outlook. And there are special thanks to voluntary Marcos Peace for helping them to achieve that. And
that's cool.
Yeah, it took them 13 years, but that's not a problem. I'm impressed that they are mentioning it in such a way that they are able to say that it took them 13 years. There was such a request. It was still somewhere in the backlog, and finally they achieved that. It just tells me that the corporate governance and rules in the company are just wow.
That's great. That's very humble. That's very humble, right? It's like
it's humble, it's fair,
great.
it's responsible. So yeah, I really love that info. Just
about
for
this
this small part.
picture-in-picture, I wanted to comment because there is a section that describes that subtitles and captions are also available on YouTube, Netflix, Disney, and there is a long list of all the web pages, portals that we know from serving video content, and that surprised me. That's pretty cool because this must have been big feature. I'm not so familiar with picture-in-picture. I don't use it, and if any kind of ads use it, it's like irritating. Well, I didn't know about this one.
But wait until you get on the project or you start on the project with web viewers, with web files and movies, and you will need to go deeper there, right? I wrote in my notes that there is also additional context on that menu for picture-in-picture, and there is also a possibility, which, for example, YouTube is using, to replace the default context with its own. So you have not only opportunity to pop the video, you may also apply some additional features in this area for user to modify or to do with your video. Great. It's provided from Google, from the Chromium web browser engine. And how we implement it, not only for the commercials, because we see it mainly in commercials, but for pleasure and using on larger screens, you may start to split and have more fun in this area. That one of the windows will be always on top with picture-in-picture. There are possibilities, and I see options which may be used in this area. So it's cool that it's moving further, and the info about Google to looking deeper and doing more things to allow you even have bigger impact.
Exactly. That's
just there are opportunities created. Cool. I see it.
Yeah, most of the time we are thinking that picture in picture, like this small ads in the corner, are picture in picture. They are not necessarily picture in picture.
No.
They could be like this position fixed.
They are position
and
fixed
off you
and
go.
properly styled.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that would be all from the
That's a cool
Firefox
update. There
intro.
are many things. All right. Then let's move to another news. There's a great article from developers.chrome.com. Why I'm saying that is a great article. I think that in front end world, from time to time, we forget that we need to update our knowledge about CSS. And this article is about all the features from the past months or a year that, in their opinion, made the biggest impact or are like very important for them to explain them here. And there are more than 20 features that are described here. Many of those features are from next CSS specification and are already implemented in one browser, not in the other. And of course, this post states next to every CSS thing that they are presenting, states which browsers are already supporting this feature. And I just found this article as a way of refreshing my knowledge. I've heard about those things in a really recent year. It's interesting to see again on what stages are there, and are they already usable or not. So let's go briefly through this list and let's pick some most interesting ones. From top, of course, we got container queries. It's like, who didn't wait for container queries, right? This allows us to grab not only children. This is more even as a parent selector, parent feature, or parent state selector. It allows us to change styles and apply them depending on the size of a container, which the name already says. And this is great. It's supported already in browsers from Chrome or on all four major browsers: Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and Safari. And all are supporting it for past 5 to 7 versions from what I can see. Maybe Safari was late to the party. They usually are. So that's the first thing. If you don't know container queries, like, read about them. They are already available and you can already use them. There are also style queries, of course. When we're talking about container queries, style queries are obvious that they'll need to be mentioned. It's like possibility of adding more specifying more precisely what container should be focusing on. It's possible to apply container and container styles depending on this style queries selector. So I can decide if there is a variable within the container and it was set to true, then I could apply extra styles, which gives us just another possibility of creating logic in our CSS and keeping logic there depending on the state of our app. Awesome. Unfortunately, not supported everywhere. It's implemented in Chromium, in V8, I assume somewhere, because Firefox and Safari are still behind with that. Other than that, has selector. I'm not gonna explain anymore in details. I'm gonna talk about them more briefly. Like has selector, which obviously allows us to check if our class has some information already set, and for end of microsyntax. And this is interesting. End of, like we have nth child right now, and you can specify the number which child should be selected and styles applied to. And in this case, it's a special notation that uses nth child, but inside nth child, we can write, for example, second of dot special. So we can select the class from which select the class that elements already has, and then select the second one from that. So it adds more specificity, right? That's pretty nice. And what more? Text wrap balance. I hope that you've heard about it already. In my opinion, it's great. It will be very important to use this property in CSS because it will, as it states, it will balance our text. But important thing to remember: this is just another way of setting your automatic wrapping, text wrapping, and handling your text. And in this case, it's important to remember that this API works for only up to 4 lines of text. So if you're interested in wrapping your text for your whole document, it's like it will be more interested to dive into word wrap and other properties in CSS. This one should be used. Sorry?
So the sections and articles are not worthy of text wrap balance.
Yes.
Only
it should
on
be used for
headers, titles
headers.
mainly.
Yes.
Rather,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And it's
Smaller
all connected to typography. Also, the nesting of classes is already supported. It's like we're waiting in Safari, it's in preview. In Firefox, we're still waiting, but all the Chromium-based engines are supporting it already. Color mix, cascade layers, this was a big topic. It's like ability to determine which styles should be applied depending on inheritance, and all the mess that you could create by importing all CSS files into another CSS file. So it should handle all those cases flawlessly right now. And there are many more things like scroll driven animation, select menu, anchor positioning, many different things that came into life in CSS recently or are expected to be implemented soon. And the authors of the blog post selected them as the one that they think will make the biggest impact, or just will change how we are writing the front end. So I find this article very helpful, like to refresh my knowledge and to see again what's already working there and what needs like pre-processing or things like that. I think it's a great article and it's worth seeing and reading through it.
As always, I would say it is quite helpful because you have everything in one place, even with
Yes.
browser support pointed out. So it's just comfortable, and developer Chrome it delivers. It's nice content.
Yeah, and there are many things that are not mentioned here. This is just a selection of 20 things, and I think that these are the biggest one and most interesting one, as well as the authors. Like, I will stick to this and not look deeper into CSS for now. There are many different other things happening, and it's like, nah, this will be enough.
There is a lot happening, and maybe with this thought, let's go further. Announcing a Vue 3.3, and it's released. It's Rurouni Kenshin version. That's how it's called.
All right.
I hope that I'm pronouncing it properly. It was released on 11th of May, and it
Very
already fresh, and it already has got 2 minor updates because we are already in 3.3.2 state. Unfortunately, some bugs. So there was a couple of fixes mandatory, but 3.3 in general, there is of course a post from even you with bigger announcements and explanation of changes.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of going on there. In essence, this release was focused on developer experience improvements, in particular with SFC script setup and its usage with TypeScript. Vue 3 in general is extremely close connected with TypeScript, and those options in script setup, there is plenty of dependencies, possibilities, and things which you may do there. So
I
it is
see.
important.
This blog post is very long.
If I would say that even not the blog post is a problem, if you open the main changelog on their GitHub, and you see that it's almost 1 page of A4 materials, just point by point of things which changed.
You're right.
From the blog post and the features which were released, for example, I haven't noticed anything, but there is a change in suspense, introduced suspensibility option for suspense, which means for nested suspense and further options, right? It's not even in main announcement from even pointed out that it went through.
All
And
right.
of course, if you are using newest Vue, it's rather mandatory. There is a couple of dependency updates recommended. If you go with 3.3, for example, the Volar, there is a change update, there is Invite update. If you are using Webpack or Vue CLI, also change in Vue Loader. What is a bit problematic, just to mention, after I made some notes, as you said, the post is long, my notes are even longer. And after grabbing some things, I see that there is plenty of dependencies which has got explicit opt-in or opt-out or are in experimental mode. For example, reactive prop destruction. So it allows destructing props to retain reactivity and provide a more ergonomic way to declare props default values. The future is in experimental and it requires explicit opt-in, right? That's, for example, one. There are changes in define model. And previously, the two-way binding with vModel, it had to have declare a prop, emit a corresponding update prop name event. Currently, it's a bit simplified. The usage is with the new define model macro. The macro does it automatically, registers a prop, and returns a ref that can be directly mutated. It's also in experimental, right?
Oh man, there are so many changes. Like, I believe you could talk through a whole episode about it. It's like you're working with Vue, right?
Maybe. Yes, I'm working on
So
Vue.
you have some experience. Okay, so
there
like
is
I can
plenty of
feel it.
toys.
I can feel it.
There is plenty of toys, and it's quite worth to have a look there because, as I said, plenty of options and things which are mentioned as opt-in or as a default option. There are some disclaimers if you want to later on update further, you should block some things. From the core perspective and the really important and cool perspectives for even for you, we should mention that JSX import source support was changed, and sometimes it was a problem, like Vue types automatically register global JSX typing. That was the typical case. And sometimes it created problems with additional packages and their interfaces. And starting from 3.3, Vue supports specifying JSX namespace via TypeScript option, JSX import source options, and this allows the user to choose global or per file opt-in based on their use case for TypeScript. So
That's awesome. Okay, so you'll be able to decide if you want to in or out. Okay, convenient.
Yes.
We love this kind of development flags, right?
Yes. Additional options and possibilities.
Do it as you want to do it, and not how frameworks required it from you. So it's like it's convenient. It's convenient.
Yes,
it's nice.
Yes. But for everyone
very
who's
very big update, right?
Very big update. Plenty of changes with the TypeScript, with defining props, emits, with refs, with destructions. So a lot of info in this area and a lot of additional options for script setup in single file components and approaches there. So really worth to read it if you are working on Vue or planning to have some fun with Vue. Totally worth it.
Nice. Yeah, it looks like a big update. I'm unfortunately not working with Vue. I'm more or less aware of what they are doing and what's happening there. But it's nice. It's nice to see that they are still able, like, to push things further and stay on top of like actual new design patterns and architectural patterns of frameworks. I like that really about them.
From things which may also interest you, for example, in maintenance infrastructure improvements, they are faster in faster in types and in checking of everything because they moved to
Mm-hmm.
rollup build, and they change rollup plugin TypeScript to plugin as build, which gave them
Mm-hmm.
faster conclusion and builds, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
quite similar with tests. They move from jest to vtest. So, and again, faster type generation by moving from API extractor from Microsoft to
Mm-hmm.
rollup
Mm-hmm.
plugin, right? So this ecosystem and the whole Vue world is still expanding and using new things, new possibilities, and also fighting for being the fastest, the quite small application, giving you the
Mm-hmm.
most things just out of the box. I like
It's
it. I
interesting
really
how it
like it.
end up for them. Yeah, because there are already frameworks like working without virtual DOMs. I've seen that they are also trying to remove it, and there are other frameworks that are quick because they are built on different principles than React and Vue. Well, I wish them luck. We'll see how it goes. And now let's move. When we are talking about frameworks, there is an update. It's interesting. There will be update in Svelte, and there is a blog post about it. When we said you were talking about Firefox, how humble they are, and they've announced that somebody did some pull request with a feature, then I think
13
that's
years old.
Svelte.dev. Yes, then Svelte.dev blog post is like something that will give everything to its contributors and mention new Svelte ambassadors, Svelte hack winners may be announced soon from Svelte Summit, and within that there is something what's new in Svelte, and then what's new in Svelte Kit. So it's like reading. It's great read because of that. It just makes me happy. They are also very open to sharing what they achieved, like with the people that contributed to their project. But let's cut it straight to a chase. So current Svelte is 3.59.1. Svelte Kit is 1.16.3. This blog post mentions even versions. Sorry. 114 of SvelteKit and so are moving pretty fast with their updates. And when it comes to Svelte, the updates is pretty short. There are some three small things like style block now supports CSS container queries from 3.58, and there are some bind changes and some accessibility. And this is all that is changing in Svelte. But this isn't all for sure, because there is a pull request which is called heads up, big restructuring underway. It's written then there that they will not be accepting any big updates for now. Probably, if it will be a bug update, if you'll be, killing some bugs, then sure, we're gonna look into that. But other than that, there are big changes going right now because they are preparing for transition to version 4 and then to version 5. And what's in that update? Like, okay, but what's happening, right? And I must tell you that's a cool thing what's happening, because almost like 300 few files were changed, and this information also ended up at first page of Hacker News. Which
Okay.
was surprise for Rich Harris, and he explained under that post why they are doing and what they are doing. The news was called like that they are dropping TS files for JS files. It didn't say much, but what's the problem when you're working with big projects and you're in development mode? When you're writing TypeScript, you need extra build step. And it's like you will have some file watcher, and then all the steps after every change will need to be made, then tested. Also, publication of package on the npm is like whole another topic, and we are not going to discuss that. There was a thread on Twitter recently about how many decisions need to be made about how you write and provide your software in NPM right now because of the JavaScript system. And of course, this problem with TypeScript and this extra step in development mode is very expensive and it's time consuming. So it's worth like doing something with it if you can. So what they decided is to drop direct TypeScript declarations and use TypeScript declarations made through JS docs. And using JS docs to create TypeScript declarations allows you to use a JS file extension, which gives you the best things of both worlds, right? Because you will still have TypeScript declaration. Your code is still type safe. Like TypeScript allows us to declare types, interfaces, and things like that with the usage of JS docs. But at the same time, it's a JS file, so you don't have this extra build step that will, transform TypeScript into your JavaScript files. And this is the change that they made right now, and this is the upgrade that's blocking all the pull requests and changes. So Rich Harris, and in this case, Puruvia, I hope I've pronounced his name correctly. He's working occasionally, from what I see, on Svelte as well. They wrote about this update and showed how it looks. This is cool. I think like this is cool to know that and understand that, because
And it's
your
a
code will
lot of
still
work.
be, yes, rewriting this in that matter of fact, yes, it's pretty complicated thing. That's why they frozen the version and waiting on their own approvals and testing and checking. But I understand the problem, and I think that this solution is interesting. I think it's okay to do that right now. All
Yeah.
right, and this is mostly what I wanted to say about Svelte update. Like, that's cool thing.
And if you are thinking about delivering something new to Svelte, stay calm. There is a big rewrite. You need to wait.
Yes, exactly. We cannot accept that right now. We are making home cleaning.
Okay. Yes, they are working inside. Let's move further. The Meta backs the OpenJS Foundation. And
Oh, that's cool.
yes, as we remember, last year Meta contributed its popular JavaScript testing project Jest to OpenJS Foundation.
Yes, right.
It happened last year. Of course, further, we know that Meta is a creator of popular open source projects like React, React Native, Jest, and Flow. So all of that.
Yes.
And they will become a gold member. So they will be working with the
Gold member.
foundation to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion with the community. Yes, gold member. There is platinum, gold,
what's
silver,
important?
and community.
Exactly.
We have
Yes,
four
yes, and
options.
platinum gives you a place at the meetings at board of directors, right? And there are only a few companies right now, from I can see. It's Google, IBM, Microsoft, and Joyen. I'm really not sure who is that. It might be a shame, but I'm gonna learn that later on. But these guys, platinum members, are joining the board of directors, and gold members, which will be Meta in this case, it's like somewhere around there, but not at the big table, right?
They are not at the highest level, but they are joining. So it's of course perfect. The OpenJS Foundation is very happy. In the silver area, we get GitHub, for example. In platinum, there is a Microsoft, the owner of GitHub, but in silver area, there is also a GitHub, someone from the GitHub community, someone from LinkedIn. So this construction of OpenJS Foundation board is also interesting, right? And the firms are contributing there. What was in addition to all of that, just around the context and the thing, I found the news on the Newsstack.io, and what was interesting that when you look lower, the first header, the first image, you will find the info that the following is an AI generated post. And what the hell? And if you look deeper, you get additional info that all AI generated posts on the new stack are reviewed by an editor before going live. Okay, it's wise.
Okay.
Furthermore, you get ChatGPT prompt information and the info that it was edited for further brevity, and press release, which was used for general use in ChatGPT for generating that info. So I think that's first time on my side that I saw
Okay.
that AI generated post mm, is mentioned as a
It's
AI
signed
generated.
by AI.
It's
Yes.
signed, yes. It's presented on the new stack. So as we see, this market is expanding, and as many was mentioning
Yes,
and pointing out,
definitely.
it will happen that ChatGPT will write articles for us.
Well, that's nice of them, like to show that to us, because ChatGPT prompt, and there is whole information what they put into ChatGPT, like write 500-word news story based only on press, blah blah, and they've provided the press release.
Oh,
That's
maybe not blah blah
well,
blah. There
somebody
is a
lost job. Somebody lost a job.
you're saying blah blah blah, but they also wrote to ChatGPT minimize any marketing jargon while emphasizing
Uh-huh.
technical details. Ta, ta, ta.
Yeah, that's right.
So
That's right. That's right.
new magical functionality in developers how to write
New
proper
generation.
comments to ChatGPT prompt.
Yep, AI prompter, new work, new discipline. That's right.
Yes,
Right,
new
that's cool. That's
position.
cool. I'm surprised that Meta wasn't there already. It's like I would assume they could be there, but after looking at the Jest case, like Jest was out of contribution from Meta and Facebook for some years. We were talking about it last year. Like there was a guy that was almost single-handedly keeping
Managing,
Jest
yeah.
afloat, and it wasn't free to community, and yeah, all those things. I'm happy that it's changed, and Meta and Facebook are trying to like do more with that. Like community wasn't happy about it.
And
All
with the
right, but
foundation,
we
yeah.
are already more than 30 minutes, and I'm gonna go to last news, because if GitHub has something to write on the blog, usually 9 out of 10 we are interested to speak about it because it makes a difference in our day-to-day lives. Like there are so many projects and developers that are already using GitHub as their only work repo handling place for, because of all the actions and everything that's happening there. So this blog post, this update, they've released new GitHub's code search and code view, and they are already generally available for all users on github.com. And I think this is an important update. Of course, I think that because I've decided I will speak about it in our episode, but this is important update because it was, I have very bad words in my mind. Let's say it wasn't the best thing in GitHub, and
The
right now
search
they've
bar.
redesigned it. Yes, the search part was like, yeah, cool. Cool that you have a search. I'm gonna use Google instead. So first, what they did is completely redesign of search interface with suggestions, competitions, and ability to slice and dice the results, how they called it. This is very nice. There are also in this blog post screens of how it looks, and if you're on GitHub, you can use it yourself. Code search engine is built completely from scratch. Of course, because of that, it's quicker, faster, stronger, and so on. But they say that it's 2 times faster than it already was, which is like great. And total redesign of GitHub code view, and so on and so on. From what I've seen, most interesting thing and important for me is like possibility for searching through the main search bar, through whole organization, through every organization file, and specifying, for example, file extensions and things like that. It really became a powerful tool right now. That's why I wanted to talk about it. It became a powerful tool that I'm really interested in using, and I'll be using a lot, I think. So that's really cool. And last thing that I want to say, yeah, it's another info. GitHub Actions from May 18th will be forced to use at least Node 16. If your actions are still on Node 12 and your system uses Node 12, then you should be careful. This announcement was made like somewhere around a month ago. So be prepared. This update is coming and you cannot prevent that. All right. And this will be all from my side. Are there any more updates to discuss this week, Olek?
No, I've got nothing more on my side, so thank you very much.
All right. We've already talked enough, I believe, and kept people here for our talks. We really need to be more brief. We're gonna work on that. All right.
Certainly.
Thank you very much for coming today. I think news was interesting in this week's edition. And I'm happy to see you again. I'm happy we're going back. I feel that we are gaining momentum, and in a moment, everything will be back on track like it used to be.
Small transitions, small adaptations, and it will be better.
Yes, exactly. We need to reboot this project, and this is how we roll. All right. So thank you very much for joining. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Of course, all the feedback is greatly appreciated. And let's roll the outro. Hey, thanks for staying till the end. This is obviously outro message with all the links and information that could help you to support us or just contact us. And we greatly appreciate both. This channel is not supported by any big company or organization, so any donation is really gonna make a big difference and will allow us to expand and provide more content like that for you. You can contact us on social media like TikTok or Instagram for now. Also, we have special email address if you'd like to reach out to us or just give us feedback. We really appreciate that and we're looking forward to hearing from you. And if you really think that we've earned it, you can buy us a coffee. Link is here. So thank you again. All the links are down in the description and see you next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe.